Welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to post this video on both my High Fire Awakening channel and my Sending Lines with Ethan Galstad channel because this is something that I think everyone needs to hear. With the increase in, I guess, discrimination, segregation, apartheid that we're seeing in the US and elsewhere when it comes to jabbed or unjabbed, especially, all over the place, it's like no jab, no job stuff, right? Or you can't go to a concert, you can't go to a restaurant. We're going to see this stuff spread unless we can turn it around. And I would just like to repeat, I've said this before, but every day, please pray and meditate for a better ending, a better future for all of us, and one that happens very quickly, that hopefully enough people awaken, as to the truth of things and just see that the way things are, how they're going, are not good. There have been a lot of really good protests around the world, which is really good to see. It tells me a lot more people are waking up. But one of the things that we're seeing, like in the US, is that there's an increased call for nurses, doctors, healthcare workers to be fired and let go if they don't get the jab, if they refuse to take it. I think New York, just announced today that a bunch of healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, etc., are set to be fired tonight, and they're going to bring in the National Guard, people from the National Guard who have been trained in medicine to help fill in the gaps. So it's already going to cause a crisis. I saw a hospital down in Texas. They said they thought they would have to stop delivering babies at their clinic, their hospital, pretty soon, like in the next month, based on where things were going, with people resigning. And this is going to flow through and affect healthcare. And here's the thing, if we can't change things, we will undoubtedly see discrimination when you go to not only the doctor, but to your optician, when you get your eyes checked, or to the dentist. And we're going to start to see this. You might have a situation where you're going to have to work kind of hard to find somebody, a dentist or a doctor, who doesn't require you to have a jab. This could be a possibility. And I think it's good for everybody to double down on their efforts on making sure they have a stocked supply of vitamins, of supplements that are good. Really something that you should be doing, if you haven't already done it, is look up kind of natural treatments for a lot of things that commonly ail us. Like if you're diabetic and you can't get insulin, look and see what can help, with your insulin or your high blood pressure, etc. Get that kind of stuff. Start to add that to what you've got in the medicine cabinet, as it were. Just build out a natural medicine cabinet. Also, I would like to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, either find stuff online, directions on how to use stuff, or I guess how to combine different things to kind of combat certain things that you might get, and print those out. Make sure you have printed copies. Also look at books on Amazon or wherever you buy books. There are a lot of good books on different things. Whether one of the big books, is a big thick book that you might find useful, is a book called Prescription for Natural Healing. I've got that many years ago, but I've got a ton of books on how to treat different things with natural stuff. And you should look into colloidal silver and food grade hydrogen peroxide treatments. You should also, in my opinion, look into anti-parasitics. There are just, a number of supplements, a number of things you can get from Amazon really easily that are kind of like parasite treatments for humans. Every 6 months or so, I go on one of these, and it's usually a two-week thing. And most people, if you were to ask them or tell them that most people have parasites, they'd look at you like you're crazy, right? Like they always do. But we're surrounded with stuff, and you can get parasites from the water, fruit, vegetables, meat, whatever. And if you do one of those things, you'll notice stuff coming out of your stool that isn't normal. But so it's one of the ones I use. What is it? I can't remember the brand name now that I use. Anyway, go look online for parasite cleanse on Amazon. You'll find it. I think it's mine. The stuff I take is like Renew, RENU, is the brand name I believe that I use. And I, for a couple of years now, I just did the 2-week program essentially. And then after a while, I was like, well, I'm gonna do it for longer. I think the last time I did it for 45 days, because parasites they have a cycle that goes by the moon. So, you want to catch a full 30-day cycle at least with their stuff. But I would do that. A lot of people, there's been a lot of research, and I have to be careful how I say this because I'll get censored. The video will get flagged, or the channel will. But there's been a lot of research into things like cancer and a lot of other stuff where people have seen incredible results. They've had things turn around big time and had things go away when they took different anti-parasitic treatments. Dr. Hulda Clark, I think, was the one. She came out with a book called like A Cure for All Diseases, and she talked about parasite treatments, anti-parasitic cleansing programs of different types. And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the stuff that we suffer from in society is caused by this stuff. So take a look at the stuff that's out there, like the Renew cleansing program, whatever it is that I take. It's got like black walnut hull and a couple other things, like maybe it's garlic or something, I don't remember. They've got a bunch of things in there that do the job. And there's something called Panacur C. It's spelled PANACUR-C. It's been used as a anti-parasitic, essentially like a dewormer for dogs for a long time. And you'll find stories of people who magically, as if by magic, had their stage 4 cancer disappear after they took this themselves. I'm not saying you should take it. I'm not saying it's a cure-all. I'm just saying, like, if you or somebody that you know runs into something, has something that's pretty tough, it might be hard to deal with. Even, I would try it. Like, if I were in a really bad spot, I would try it. Like, my experience in taking the other stuff that I take, I would take it without hesitation. I would also look into things like fish antibiotics. You can't just go ask your doctor or for spare antibiotics. They're not going to give them to you unless you have like a sinus infection or something. They're not going to give them to you, and you can't find them over the counter, at least in the US, probably in most places, at least in the quote-unquote first world. But in the US and elsewhere, you can get antibiotics for your fish in your aquarium. And these, based on things I've read, it sounds like those antibiotics, and again, I'm not an expert and I'm not making any claims, just so I have my disclaimers covered. It sounds like, based on what I've heard, what I've read, that a lot of these fish antibiotics are made by the same companies that make the ones that you would be prescribed by a doctor. So it would be wise, in my opinion, to get some of these just to have as spares. I also want to make a note, like make sure you have plenty of like over-the-counter medication, stuff that you or your family or somebody else might need for common ailments, common remedies that you need. Just make sure you have that stuff, and just think ahead. And also, there was a study, like a lot of people want to throw their prescriptions away, their Tylenol, their aspirin, or whatever away after it reaches its expiration date that's marked on the package. I just want to point out that the United States military, I think it was the Army, did a study because they had a ton of these things stockpiled and they were about to expire. So they did a study on whether or not they were still effective after their expiration date. And I think, if memory serves me correctly, they were still good, or at least had partial effectiveness, even up to 30 years past their shelf life for some things. Now, obviously, the longer something has gone past its best buy or expiration date, it usually gets less effective. So if you got something that's a couple years past, an expiration date, you might need to take 2 aspirin or 2 Tylenol, things like that, to get rid of a headache or whatever. So keep that in mind. I would imagine the same thing would go for a lot of supplements. You know, if you have a lot of supplements, they're made of components that, you know, that might be herbs or different things that will degrade over time. But some of them are likely to be able to go past their best buy or their expiration dates a bit. And I would, you know, encourage you to do a little bit of research on that. Anyway, just do these things. Really look into the things that can help boost your immune system, help you get over certain things that you or your family might encounter. And just as a general rule, it's good to have these things. But especially in a situation, if we don't see things turn around, if we don't have people wake up and kind of end this madness that we see around us, it's good to have a backup. Anyway, that's it for this video. I've got some Italian pizza that just came out of the oven, homemade. So I'm looking forward to it. I was just letting it rest for a little bit. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Wish you all the best of luck in the world. Whatever it is you're doing, until I see you next time, good luck. God bless. Godspeed.